Good afternoon, everybody. It's your boy Gilly Momo. I want to talk about my home lab right quick before NFL gets to kicking off. Go Chiefs, by the way. Um, so often I get asked, uh, how come you don't share your home lab on, um, how come you don't share your home lab online? And I said, that's a good question. Why don't I? And I've got something. I've got a note down. That's interesting. That was very interesting. Yeah, I sure do. Anyhow. So go ahead and share with y'all what goes on in my lab and show you a little thing or two. So, fun fact. So if you look in the let's close all of this stuff real quick. So we'll open a command prompt because this is important. So if you look in the top left quadrant there, you'll see my Proxmox cluster, which is very run-of-the-mill Proxmox cluster. But what makes it unique is oh, that equals bad. Well, we're watching a node go down, so yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, they're coming back up rather. All right, so anyhow, you'll see it is a 7 node cluster that spans 5 states. Four of those nodes are in my house. That's Chaos Palace. And we also have Pandora Palace, Rack Palace, and Rainbow Palace. Those are 4 nodes that reside in my house. I have a node that is at my parents' house that is about 30 minutes due north of me, Gotham Palace. And then I have a node that's at my friend's house that is even further north, about an hour or so away from me, that I go to all the time, and I actually have assets everywhere. And then you'll see that I actually have a node that sits in Ohio. But you're like, oh wait a minute, Gilly, but that's only 2 states. Well, oh, did I say I said 5 states? I meant to say 4. So what's even further interesting is that I have a node in Ohio, and then I have 2 VMs that are in Chicago and New York. And you're like, well, okay, so what's so interesting about that? Well, I mean, outside of the fact that no one has a Proxmox cluster that literally spans a whole, I guess you could say metropolitan, and then another state is particularly unique. So if you look at the upper right hand quadrant there, you'll see I'm running software that is known as the Dude by MikroTik. And as you can see, there are actually 4 big trees, and then you got that one that's sitting up atop. So what's going on up there is that so I use this to monitor my whole the home lab, if you want to call it that. It's a home lab that's really not just in my home, but it's everywhere. So I have 0-tier that I'm using on all my edge routers, and I'm using OpenWrt, and there's 17 of those, and a OpenSense instance that runs in the cloud. Recently, I just got my hands on VXLAN, so I actually have a slew of nodes that are slew of VMs that actually are on the network, but they're not on the network. It's isolated from the rest of the network. So if we take a good look here, so I've got labels on here, but if it's in VXLAN there, that actually, so this VM up here, if you look to the bottom screen there with the command prompt open, so we can do a trace route to google.com, and we can clearly see that. And mind you, that VM actually is in my house, but its traffic is going out of the Chicago router. And right now it's being a little slow, but that's okay. But basically, this is what I've put together. So all my traffic for this particular node goes out of Chicago, um, because I'm using what's called VXLAN, and I'm sure you've seen it before. VXLAN is software-defined networking, and so what that allows me to do is it allows you to create a basically its own your own network that isn't your own network that isn't it's a network within a network, really. So like all my nodes are in a different subnet. You're probably wondering, well, how the hell does he have all those? Well, I'm using zero tier as the main SDN, and then secondary that I'm using the VXLAN that's built into Proxmox. But yeah, basically I just got a few nodes running around everywhere, and I just kind of wanted to showcase this a little bit. I mean, if you really want more information, I'll be happy to share that with you guys. It's just a little quick blurb about what it is that I do with my lab. But it's a little bit different than most. Like I said, it spans multiple states, and I can move VMs between them, and I am running Ceph, but right now that's a whole nother video all by itself. But yeah, it's just a small quick rundown of what I've got going on, and I thought I would share because it is unique. It is different than most. Most people do not run home labs to this extent because it's different. Like I said, and the added benefit to this is, well, Happy, how did you get all these people to allow you to put stuff in their house? Well, several things. So 3 of these houses, obviously one being mine, and then secondary to that, my parents' house. They allow me to do stuff up there because I actually pay for an internet connection out of there, which I don't mind doing, and that's a whole nother story by itself. And then my friend Shanna's house, I basically live there too, so I'm basically between 3 houses all the time. Situation dictates. And then we actually were trying to circumvent Fubo at one point, and that's where one of the nodes is that. And if you look on the dude, you'll see there's this singular node that has a line to it, but it's by itself. We tried, so there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses that are connected to each other. And push come to shove, if something were to happen, I can see that stuff going down. Like actually earlier, as you've seen me starting this up, you saw that third tree, which is my friend Shanna's house, go down because I seen the node was down, and I was like, oh, what's going on there? But obviously just a quick reboot of some things, and that seemed to fix the issue. But basically, that's just it, you know. But yeah, they allowed me to do that, and so that, and then as for the Ohio Egg, I have a friend, Amy, who kindly allowed me to place a node there, and she has open routers there too, because I was trying to help her, fix coverage, and I was like, well, why not manage it for you? And when she has problems, guess what? She can just give me a call, or we talk all the time anyway. She can just give me a call, and I can just fix it. So, but yeah, that's just basically it. And yesterday, if you were in my stream yesterday, you would have seen me playing Mario Kart over LAN with her, just because I use a VPN to do exactly that. And so, in short, what you're seeing is, by definition, there's 2 different VPNs going on simultaneously, and that's zero tier, which is software-defined networking, but also happens to function as a VPN, and you can set default routes in zero tier to manage all your networks like this. And it's particularly useful if you have like some elderly that maybe you take care of, and maybe you need to manage some of their stuff. You know, keep an eye on things, and because nowadays technology really relies on a lot of medical stuff relies on internet connection and so on and so forth. But the benefit to them is they get me to take a look at things, and if I see stuff go down, like I just saw the node and I was going to call Shannon and say, hey, you probably need to reboot your router and whatnot. But yeah, that's basically it. I guess that being said, I need to do more videos on my home lab because, like I said, it's very, very unique. So I would go into details, but that requires me to go ahead and make an actual video, do a recording, because I'm going to have to hide all the IP addresses that are coming out from point A to point B. So that being said, that's it, and just wanted to share that with you guys, and you guys have a good day. Happy footballing.